Yeah, it's me again. And I'm still a tad bit upset. I mean, it's only my second episode, so I guess I should still be a tad bit upset. But right now I'm just kind of upset with people who don't understand evolution and still try to argue against it. Like, I saw this one video of a guy who kept using the term genus to mean a kind of animal, like a mammal or a reptile, you know, that. And I'm pretty sure those are all classes of chordates, not genuses. And makes me upset that he tried to use that as a point against evolution. Like he said, like, here we go again, changing from one genus type to another genus type when fish became amphibians. And also, he kind of showed it like the fish were changing in their own lifetimes into amphibians, but that's not how it really works because like that's not how evolution and natural selection happen. Because if you got fish, let's just start with fish instead of going all the way back to the little tiny microbial stuff. Um, yeah. We start with a fish, and they reproduce because that's a thing that animals do. Um, and, and you get a bunch of different fish because they're a mixture of the parents' genetic material, and maybe there was some mess up with like you know a mutation. Yeah, mutation, and one of the fish babies was able to survive in air a bit longer, or in a lower concentration of water. Like they could skip through mud, which is kind of like a fish we have in modern times called the mud skipper. Obvious name. And then they were able to get away from the deep sea things that wanted to eat them, like bigger fish or whatever, because big fish can't swim in mud very easily. Um, so that was just passed down because they survived and were able to reproduce like animals do. And then every time some fish was born able to get farther onto land away from the predators, that was well supported because now they had no predators. Problem was laying your eggs in water and then leaving them to go up on land was kind of a not a good choice. So um, people, no, amphibians who were able to lay eggs on land with like shells that kept water out were able to survive on land, and then they slowly like ones that were able to stay on land and avoid the sea predators were became reptiles. I mean, that we classified them as reptiles. I mean, because genuses didn't exist back then. That's something that humans created as a classification chart. You can't use that as reasoning against evolution. Because I mean, think about it. Because animals can't evolve in their own lifetime. If they could, I would have grown wings and flown away a long time ago because this planet sucks. Sidetrack. Um, Point is, evolution has a lot of founding evidence on its side too. So people say that evolution is bunk or whatever they say. Um, I'd like to see their evidence against it. Besides, it's written in this book that this happened because, you know, I can write a book. I'm writing a book actually, and I really hope nobody starts going all crazy about it and thinking that all the stuff that happens in there is real, because it's not. It's a science fiction, and I think that a lot of religions have a great book of fiction on their side, but it's not. It's not what really happened. I'm sorry, it's not. I mean, a lot of it, some of it is, but a lot of it's not. Back to evolution. Sorry, that's where this whole thing started. If a camel walked up to a tree and decided somewhere in its brain that it wanted to eat the leaves on the top of that tree, it couldn't just stretch its neck up and become a giraffe. That's not how evolution works. Um, Giraffes and camels have a common ancestor. That's true. But they were separated somehow. Like two populations of that ancestor were separated. One went into the desert and needed to be able to store water. So animals that were able to store watery fat packs in their back were more likely to survive and reproduce. But then some of them went up to the savannas, and the grasses there aren't exactly edible, but the tree leaves are. So animals with longer necks could eat the leaves up there, survive, and reproduce. And that's how we got the differentiation. Is that a word? That's how we got camels and giraffes that are so similar and so different. They're separate species, but same ancestor. Um, then something that people keep bringing up: humans did not evolve from monkeys. We share a common ancestor with monkeys and apes. Like, so, um, well, not supposedly. There's hard evidence, fossil evidence, showing that as we go back through human ancestors to where we diverged from chimps, which are our closest living relatives, species-wise, not, my closest really living relative would probably be my brother. I'm species-wise, chimps are our closest relative. Um, and see, chimps have opposable thumbs on their feet, no tail, um, really wide hips for walking around on all fours, and they've got long arms for swinging through trees. Humans don't have opposable thumbs on their feet most of the time, um, and we've got arms and legs about the same length because we walk upright, supporting ourselves with our feet, but we pick things up with our hands and use them as tools. Now, as scientists have looked back through the fossil records, they find an ancestor that stands on its hind legs, has long arms for climbing through trees, but doesn't climb through trees a lot. It's better at running on the ground than a chimp is, but not as good as a human. So it would appear as though evolution or natural selection favored creatures that didn't have thumbs on their feet when it came to walking around, which is why the Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, um, all the humanoids evolved, and we're just the last ones left. I mean, there are a lot of different species of chimp left, but we're the last uh, humanoids. And then when you go back to chimps, we shared a common ancestor with them, and that common ancestor split into two different species. I'm making this sound really simple and bad, but and evolution in some locations favored people who could walk on the ground, and in other locations favored chimps that could climb through the trees, which is why chimps can climb and have short, stubby legs, and then humans have long legs for walking around on the ground. That's just how evolution works. And we can actually, I mean, a lot of people say that there's not really can't speak. There's not really a way to observe evolution, but if you look at the HIV virus, that might have been a RAS syndrome there. Heh. Repetitive acronym syndrome. Yeah. But if you look at HIV, you see that whenever you use a medicine to fight it, a new strain evolves. And I put quotes around it because a lot of people don't think it actually evolves. But I do. I mean, I know it does. I mean, I've looked at the evidence. And it's like the best HIV survives. And then you have to fight it with a different medicine. And then the best of that strain survives. And so on. And it's just like, there's so much proof behind evolution. And I'm just a bit upset that people don't really see that. So, yeah.